Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to our English Grammar Tips. Today our topic is Traditional Philosophy of Education, Unit number 4, 6500 quote, prepared by आगा उमर खान. So, अपने नेक्स्ट स्लाइड पर जाने से पहले मैं आपसे ये ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा कि आप चैनल को ज़रूर सब्सक्राइब करें ताकि आपको मज़ीद अपडेट्स मिलती रहें, मज़ीद हेल्प मैं आपकी कर सकूं. बहुत शुक्रिया. चलते हैं अपने सबक की तरफ. इंट्रोडक्शन. Philosophy is a set of ideas about the nature of reality and about the meaning of life. Both ancient and the modern philosophies influence education today. Number 2 point is the three main branches of philosophy are metaphysics, which deals with the study of reality. Number 2, epistemology, which is concerned with the nature of knowledge, and axiology, which seeks to determine state or is of value, share of value. Idealists are concerned with goals against which people can judge their own progress and the progress of civilization. Platonian idealists believe that education is the key of creating and perpetuating a society in which talent rises to the top. Realists seek to discover truth in the world around them via methods of direct observation and scientific inquiry. Aristotle believed that excellence would flourish as one sought the middle ground between life's extremes. Realists believe that the role of education is to teach students about the world in which they live. Humanists reforms people's perceptions of themselves in relation of teaching and learning. They also express their belief in the inherent goodness of child. Humanists believe that education should prepare people to take responsibility for their own lives. Idealism. Idealists believe that ideas are the only true reality. Horn writes, idealism is the conclusion that the universe is an expression, intelligence and will, that the enduring substance of the world is of the nature of mind, that the material is explained by the mental. It takes many and varied forms, but the underlying principle is that the mental or spiritual is more than the material. The physical is not so important as the world of experiences, mind or ideas. Key concepts. Metaphysics. To the idealist, only the mental or the spiritual is ultimately real. For them, the universe is an expression of a highly generalized intelligence and will, a universal mind. The individual's spiritual essence of or soul is durable and permanent. Axiology. To the idealist, values reflect the good inherent in the universe. They are absolute, eternal, and universal. Ethical conduct grows out of the permanent aspect of culture heritage. Since the ethical core is contained with and transmitted by this heritage, philosophy, theology, history, literature, and art are rich value sources. Fundamental principles of idealism. Idea is real. The idealists believe that material or physical universe is not complete expression of reality. To him, the physical world is manifestation of some great spirit behind it. Man is supreme creation. According to idealism, man being spiritualism. यानी अगर हम man is a supreme creation, तो ये तो कुरान मजीद में भी आता है, जब वतीनी व जैतूनी व तूरी सीनीना व हाजा बालदिल अमीन, इसके अंदर भी इस चीज़ का जिक्र है, लक़द हलकनल इंसान लफ़ी अहसनी तक़वीम. सो मैन इज़ द सुप्रीम क्रिएशन. इस आयत में भी ये बोला गया. According to idealism, man being spiritual, is supreme creation of God. They believe that man has spirit of or mind, and through this spirit or mind he controls the environment. God is the source of all knowledge. The idealists say that although man is supreme creation of God and he can create values, yet he cannot find knowledge of ultimate reality from anyone else except God. Values and absolute. Idealism believes in three spiritual values. They are the truth, the beauty, and the goodness. The truth is an intellectual value, the beauty is as aesthetic value, and the goodness a moral value. Together they constitute the gods good. For Plato, these their values, three values, are identical to each other. Idealism and aims of education में self-realization. Idealist assumes that the foremost aim of education is to exalt his personality. This exaltation of human personality means self-realization. Preservation of culture. Idealists give much importance to spiritual and cultural possession of the individual. Development of a moral sense. According to idealism, is to develop the child's moral sense so that he can distinguish between the right and the wrong. Development of creative powers. According to idealism, education should enable the individual to develop creative powers and modify the existing environment for the better and fuller living. Development of complete man. The idealists believe that physical development leads to intellectual development, which leads to the pursuit of moral values. Universal education. The idealists believe that every man is equal, the noblest work of God. Hence, self realization should not be confined to the favored few, but should be universal in nature. They therefore advocate universal education. Idealism and the process of education में idealism and teacher. The teacher occupies an important place in the idealist philosophy. He is a mature individual with an idealistic outlook and takes the child from darkness to light. Froebel has beautifully explained his position. According to his view, the school is like a garden, and the teacher is like a gardener, and the child is like the tender plant. The idealists also expect the teacher to have an ideal character because he is the friend, philosopher, and guide of the child. He should be morally high, intellectually developed, and culturally advanced. Idealism and people. The student has certain attitude, aptitude, and tendencies. He is hardworking, obedient, and dutiful. He struggles for traditional knowledge. He likes to involve himself in ideal rather than practical work. He discusses with the teacher but remains obedient. He thinks that the teacher is the only person who gives him the true knowledge, so he tries to get benefits from the teacher. Idealism and curriculum. Plato believes that the highest ideal of life is the attainment of the highest good or God, and for this he has suggested that the curriculum should aim at the inculcation of the three spiritual values, for example, truth, beauty, and goodness. Physical activities, intellectual activities, and moral activities. Idealism and the method of teaching. Many idealists emphasize the use of ideal-centered method of teaching. The classroom is a place where the mature mind of the teacher and the immature mind of people meets. There is a bond of common purpose between the two. The mature person has the function of making the purpose clear. The two most important idealist contributor in the methodological of teaching are Pestalozzi and Froebel. Pestalozzi emphasized ethico-religious education of a child. He held that man could not live by bread alone. Every child needs religious development. Froebel is also motivated by idealistic philosophy in his kindergarten system. He regards the school as the garden, and the teacher is a gardener whose function is to tend carefully the little human plants in the church and to help them to grow. The beauty of perfection, lecture methods, and the discussion method of learning, which is properly unknown as the Socratic method. Idealism and discipline. Most of the idealists says that the children should have freedom, but in their activities they should seek guidance from teachers and some other knowledgeable persons. The idealists believe that the complete development of the child is only possible under perfect discipline with the due allowance for freedom. The idealists believe in strict discipline. It is through hard and rigorous life that they will learn higher values of life like sympathy, cooperation, and devotion to duty. Realism. Aristotle is the pioneer of the philosophy. He was against the ideas of Plato and who was interested in abstraction and generalities. Aristotle was interested in particular facts of life. John Coke and an English philosopher gave new impute to realism. He said, the mind is a tabula rasa, clean slate, यानी क्लीन स्लेट. ये एक स्लेट जिसे कह रहे हैं बिल्कुल साफ सुथरे बोर्ड, लाइक अ बोर्ड, एंड रियलिटी इज़ आउटसाइड द माइंड. और जो रियलिटी है वो माइंड के आउटसाइड पे है. अब हमने उसे फाइंड करना है. की कॉन्सेप्ट्स. मेटाफिजिक्स एंड एपिस्टेमोलॉजी. फॉर द रियलिस्ट a material world exists that is independent of and external the mind of the knower. The basis for understanding reality is found in a world of objects and in the perceptions of these objects. The realist believes that the curriculum consisting of organized separate subject matters is the most effective and efficient way of learning about the reality of the objective order. Axiology. Based on the realist concept of knowledge, certain identified perceptions govern intelligent behavior. Basic philosophical principle of realism. Realism and nature of reality. According to the realists, the world around is a reality. It is a world of objects and not ideas. Realism is a philosophy away from the world of the ideas and is concerned with the study of the world we live in, laws of nature and realism. The realist believes that the physical universe is operated by natural laws, realism and science. The realist tries to discover truth with the help of a scientific method. Such a discovery of truth helps to control the environment. Realism and religion. There is no absolute antagonism between realism and religion, though many realists hold the view that religion is merely man-made and there is no God. Realism and value. Most of the realists share the belief that the thing has an aesthetic value to the extent it harmonizes with the beauty of nature. Many realists think that behavior is what is socially and rationally acceptable. Realism and aims of education. Realism and aims of education, equipping students with the knowledge and skill needed to understand and master their physical environment, enabling students to adjust themselves to the realities of the physical world and to adjust with the adult approved behavior. Realism and process of education. In realism, the teacher is a guide. He should only guide the student because the realists give much freedom to students. The realist suggests that the teacher must be a scholar. A realist places considerable importance of the on the role of the teacher in the educational process. The teacher should be a person who presents material in the systematic and organized way. Realism and the curriculum. Although realists have different views about what subjects should comprise the curriculum, they are in agreement that studies be practical and useful. Locke, in some thoughts concerning education, approved of such studies as reading, writing, drawing, geography, astronomy, arithmetic, history, ethics, and laws, with the supplementary studies in dancing, fencing, and riding. Subjects of the curriculum would include courses in physics, chemistry, mathematics, life sciences, and their applications, social sciences, in an integrated way, and self sciences such as literature, biography, philosophy, psychology, and art. Realism and the method of teaching. Lecture method and the other formal ways of teaching. Realists encourage the use of discussion, play and symposia. They believe in the Socratic method of learning as well. Realism and the people. According to the realist, the students is capable of doing a lot of things. They suppose the pupils is an organism with a highly developed brain. He has the ability to draw meaning from his experiences, conceive purposes, and work to realize them. एग्जिस्टेंशलिज्म. अब आ गई बात एग्जिस्टेंशियलिज्म पे कि ये क्या चीज़ है. रियलिज्म पढ़ लिया आपने, आइडियलिस्ट भी पढ़ लिया. तो एग्जिस्टेंशियलिज्म is the youngest philosophy. It is difficult to find its root in any of an ancient philosophies. It may be described as a modern 20th century philosophy. However, it has not yet received a wide general recognition in the educational field. Its chief exponents are Soren Kierkegaard and Danish philosophers 1813 to 1850 AD, Jean-Paul Sartre, and French writer of the 20th century Karl Jaspers, German philosopher, and Paul Tillich and Reinhold Niebuhr, the two leading Protestant theologians. Key concepts. As people live, they are thrust into the number of choice-making situations. Some choices are minute and trivial. Other choices, however, deal with the purpose of life. Human freedom is total, says that the existentialists who also hold that one's responsibility for choice is total. Each person knows his or her designed death and ultimate disappearance, and that his or her presence in the world is only temporary. Existentialism carries feeling of the both desperation and hope. Main assumption of existentialism: man's existence. For existentialists, the starting point for all existence is the recognition of the individual's existence. For the existentialists, then, man makes himself through choices among many alternatives in the environment. Self-knowledge. The existentialists consider self-know, they self as the basic premise of this philosophy. Freedom of responsibility. The existentialists consider that each man has the responsibility of creating his own values and is doing so. He is choosing freedom and responsibility. Man is not complete. For existentialists, man is not complete. He is in the process of becoming. Man has to meet the challenge. He marches on the process of becoming a complete man to reach his completeness. No acceptance of ready-made concepts. Existentialism believes that man cannot accept the ready-made concept of existence forced upon him. He is a free agent and capable of shaping his own life and choosing his destiny. Existentialism and education. Existentialism has a very little and to offer as a philosophy of education. There seems to be only one major book which deals with the philosophy of existentialism as applied to education, and that is George Neller, Existentialism and Education. Educational implication of existentialism. According to existentialism, the primary aim of the education is to making of the human person as one who lives and makes decision about what he will do and B. The school should provide the environment where the individual finds security, encouragement, and acceptance by teachers. All school subjects and activities should present situations for the development of human beings. The teacher should facilitate development or originality and creativity by providing necessary material to and equipment. The teacher is very active and welcomes challenges to his ideas from the students. Democratic ideas must pervade the school environment in which the students grow. Limitations of existentialism. The educational method in existentialism appear to be impractical and incapable in an industry society. It requires a good deal of time and effort on the part of teacher to develop individual relationship with the student for having a closer understanding of their personalities. Terminology used in the existentialism is not very clear. Concept like being, meaning, person, existence, and are ambiguous. Pragmatism. Students, it is very important chapter. The term pragmatism derives its origin from the Greek word meaning to do, to make, to accomplish. Hence, the use of the word of action and or practice or activity. John Davies, 1859 to 1952, became its leading and most influential exponent. He practiced it is in the laboratory school set up in Chicago in 1896. His purpose was to train people in cooperation and mutually useful living. Pragmatism stands between the idealism and materialism and the sort of compromise. It is a compromise between materialism and idealism. Idea or mind is the primary thing of the idealism. Matter is at the center of the universe. So far as materialism is concerned, they are in fact the two antithetical trends in philosophy. Key concepts: metaphysics and epistemology. Pragmatism or experimentalism construed epistemology as a process in which reality is constantly changing. Environment, interaction, and change. The epistemological or knowing situation involves a person or an organism and an environment. The person interacts with the environment in order to live, grow, and develop. This interaction may alter or change the environment, and it may also alter or change the person. Dealing with change. If reality is continually changing, the curriculum based on permanent realities. Number 2, analogy and logic. Pragmatic conception of an axiology are highly situational. Values are relative to time, place, and circumstances. It is necessary to test and re-examine value assumptions in the same way that the scientific claims are subjected to verification. Scientific method. The logic used in the experimentalist education is inductive and based on the scientific method. Tentative assertions are based on empirical experience and must be tested. Experimentalist logic is suspicious for a prior truth and deduction based on them. Pragmatism and the education process. Education is something more. It is a constant reorganizing and reconstructing of experience. Problem solving is at the core of all education. The educative process thus becomes empirical, experimental. In a pragmatic aims of the pragmatism aims arise out of the ongoing experience and should lie wholly within the child's experience. Education of Devi is a process of individual growth and development, but growth itself, says Brobacher, has no end beyond further growth. In the other words, he goes on to say, education is its own end. Education means more. Education, curriculum, a close relationship exists between aims and curriculum. In Latin, curriculum means a runway course which one runs to reach a goal in a race. The figure of speech, when applied to education, will mean a course of study with the educator and the pupils will have the cover to achieve the ends of our goal of education. Curriculum is to be the term of the learner's nature and does not lie outside his or her experience. Curriculum therefore consists of activities. Method of pragmatism. The teacher is therefore there to help the pupil to do rather than to know and contemplate. His appeal is always to the instinct motives of people's activity. Traditional methods of chalk and talk are hateful to the pragmatist. यानी ये देख लें, ट्रेडिशनल मेथड जो है चॉक एंड टॉक वाला, वो इट इज़ हेटफुल फॉर द pragmatist. The method used is that of trial and error, experimentation. It is also called the problem solving and the project method. Discipline, to utilize the interest of the people, is the basic of discipline here. The teacher, if needs be, and people attack problem jointly, teacher's role is that of a guide and director. The discipline proceeds from the life of the school as a wholly. Fundamental principle of pragmatism. Truth is that which works in a practical situation. Action is real. Ideas are tools. Man is an active being. There are no absolute values of life. It places its faith in man's ability to solve his problems through the logic of the scientific method. It rejects all authoritarianism, whether in government, religion, or education. Knowledge is always tentative and functional. Pragmatic principle of education. Stress on social and physical environment. Continuous reconstruction of experience as the aim of education. Child as the center of activity. Life situation as the basis of education. Stress on the freedom of for the child. Experience and experiments as the basis of learning. Positive education. Contribution of pragmatism of education. Pragmatism provides definite aim of education. The student is prepared to live in a society and learn skills and attitudes which are required for him to live as a useful member of society. Utility in the educative process is the first criterion. The school is expected to provide learning and experiences that are useful. Pragmatism makes child the center of the educative process. Discussion, questioning, inquiring, touching and handling situation are provided. Education is not bound to tradition. Pragmatic philosophers advise us to test everything through our own experience. Pragmatism encourages a democratic way of learning through purposeful and cooperative projects and activities. Weakness and limitations of pragmatism in education. The pragmatic philosophy of education, by and large, ignores the place of spirit of essence. Problems selected by the students may be unreal, having no relation with the real life situation. Pragmatism does not provide for regular and systematic instructions. Pragmatism leaves many circular gaps and deficiencies in the learning process. Thanks and best of luck to all of you students, and hope you like that, and that video will be helpful for you in the exams, and for also for learning. And if you like it, then share it and subscribe my channel. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.